More than 1 million demonstrators took to the streets in France yesterday to protest the government's plan to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. Some areas saw violence and vandalism. In the southwestern city of Bordeaux, someone set fire to the front door of the city hall there. It's not clear just who's responsible. CBS News foreign correspondent Elaine Cobbe is following all of this for us from Paris. Elaine, it's good to see you. Sometimes with the news, we go where, all the excitement, for lack of a better word, is. We don't really have a good sense of just how widespread these protests are. How widespread are they?
Anne-Marie, there were protests in more than 200 towns and cities across France yesterday. So many people came out, a much larger turnout than the last several weeks of days of action. And people were much angrier as well. You could really feel the level of anger towards Macron in the protests. And as well as that city hall in Bordeaux, other symbols of power were targeted, including police stations and courthouses.
So they've been protesting like this, though, for days and days and days, weeks, actually. The legislation has come, it has gone, it has been passed. Is there any indication that these protests could actually persuade the government to change course?
President Macron has made it clear that he will not budge. The reforms will go ahead and start rolling out in September as planned. Now, the only thing that can stop it legally now is if the Constitutional Council, which is vetting and approving it at the moment, finds something that requires it to be sent back to Parliament. But the unions say they want to keep going with the strikes because they want it dropped. And anger against the reforms has only been building. Many people say it's just not fair that they now have to work more, and some groups, such as women who took time off to look after children, find that they are even more penalised than before. And they had been promised that the reforms would help to compensate time off, whereas now, because they have to work longer, as well as the retirement age going up, they have to work 44 years for a full pension, they continue to be worse off than men.
So, out of curiosity, what is the sort of public sentiment right now on this whole thing? I imagine that these protests are quite disruptive. It might be difficult to get to work or school. What is the general feeling about these ongoing protests?
There's a lot of support from people. They really think that there was no need for this level of reform at this stage, and they support the unions despite the disruptions, because there have been transport chaos and schools have been closed, and it's not been easy. But there really is a strong sentiment here that this wasn't necessary and that President Macron could have paid for this in other ways, such as taxing the ultra-wealthy.
Interesting. Elaine Cobbe, great talking to you. Thank you.